There are so many amazing dreams that people get to have. And one of the best dreams of them all is to wear Scuderia red and have that opportunity to represent the prancing stallion, which is seen there on the signage of your screen. This is big for the Ferrari HP Esports series, and it is the halfway stage as we sit and we look. It's the first chance to get a look at the Americas region and what they can do on Assetto Corsa. There will be 6 races in total in their championship, with 1 place to go to Ferrari World Yas Island. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside me for the ride today is Rory Alexander. And Rory, this is going to be a long wait for all of these drivers. They have seen 8 different splits through 3 different regions already get their seasons underway. But this is where they now put their foot down and say, this is where we need to succeed.
Yeah, it's go time for them, Jake, and it's go time for us. Absolute pleasure to be on broadcast with you for the first time ever, Jake. So looking forward to this one and looking forward to the racing that we've got tonight. There's only one person, we'll get into it in a moment, there's only been one driver from this region on AC going to Ferrari World, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So yes, there's a few format changes tonight as well, so I think we're going to have some pretty aggressive guys out there trying to get that spot.
No doubt, we are going to see a lot of these drivers looking to try and make that big push, because they know with one spot, it is basically win or you are out. And that is what we're going to be seeing. We start, of course, at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, a circuit in the Americas, which pretty much needs no introduction in terms of how it brings itself together as we bring you this show with Santander, with Bitdefender, Thrustmaster, Richard Mille, and Next Level Racing. You get the real sense here, Rory, that Laguna Seca is one of those circuits that all you've got to do is whisper it and everybody's eyes just perk up.
I mean, what a place, right? What a place to kick off the Americas region on AC. I mean, it's such an iconic track. Everybody knows it. Recent name change, of course, it was the Mazda Laguna Seca for a long time. But now, of course, WeatherTech, there's only 2 real places to pass here. And they're very, very difficult. One is pretty much round the outside at turns 2, the Andretti hairpin, and of course, the infamous corkscrew. But yeah, you've got to have some, you've got to be made of quite a lot to go for that one.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on, and this format structure is going to be slightly different to what you have seen so far. Of course, it's still exactly the same right now. You get 30 participants from hot laps and regional qualifiers. They go into their races, and then it's the top 5 from each region. So you got 1 from Assetto Corsa, 2 from iRacing, and 2 from Assetto Corsa Competizione, who find themselves, of course, at Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi for the grand finals on the 5th of December. So there is always going to be that opportunity to go through. But here's where the difference lies with Assetto Corsa. Of course, it is still exactly the same for races 1 and 2. Race 1, grid is decided by qualifying result. Race 2, grid is set by the race 1 result that goes through. But with race 3, we rack them back up again. We say qualify again. See if 2 races has changed your pace, and then there is going to be one big challenge to say race 3, is it yours? We'll do that twice over on Assetto Corsa with 2 circuits, and then we will decide who's got the most points and who is heading their way, of course, to Ferrari World, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi in the Ferrari HP Esports series. So there is going to be so much on the line for all of these drivers, Rory, and they know with it being slightly different and with only the 1 space, it's going to be very, very aggressive as we set with America's region action.
Absolutely, and as you say, Jake, you know, we're going to reset that. So we're going to reset it after race 2. So there's going to be some fireworks in race 2 because it's all to play for once again in race 3.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Of course, you've got the APAC region, which has gone on a little bit earlier on in the week, and the EMEA region, which has been bringing itself into play. We now sit with America's region action here today, and let's talk about what makes this circuit so great. The WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca has been a staple in Salinas, California for a very long time. It has been one of those circuits that is bucket list every time you go there, and of course run by the Monterey County on top of that as well in terms of who is the operator of this circuit. It's got the most famous corner in all of motorsport, with 6 stories worth of drop, which goes down from the top all the way to the bottom of that corkscrew. And I tell you what, we are looking so much into what makes this so amazing. And we'll take a look at our schedule. As we can see, we are halfway through here on the 14th of September. They've had to wait 8 days longer than their counterparts, so they've had a really good eye-in here, Rory, in terms of what they've been able to see, maybe gain a little bit of perspective and take that into their race.
Yeah, although they may well be wanting to look away. There was a lot going on in the first 2 rounds here, or the first 2 regions here at Laguna Seca. So, yeah, I mean, it really, really does depend. You know, you throw in that new format for AC. How are people going to play it? Are they going to play it nice and safe and try and get through and get as many points as they can? Because there's only one spot, remember, from this region, as we mentioned. Or are they going to absolutely going to go for it? They're not in action again until round 18 at the Nürburgring on the 19th of October. So whatever happens tonight, they've got a long time to sit and think about it.
It's a long, long wait for one golden ticket. But let's look at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. The Andretti hairpin's going to be the key place for overtaking, as you've got those transfer corners of 3 and 4 and 5. Do not go too wide through turn 6. It is a dustly corner. And then that fabled corkscrew through the rainy curve and over towards that final corner out on circuit. Laguna Seca is a very, very difficult maiden out there to race on, and these drivers will know one step out of line could be disaster for their championship efforts. And that one place, of course, in Abu Dhabi, which will be there, of course, at the Yas Island Ferrari World there at, of course, Abu Dhabi. But we are looking very much like these drivers want to go out there, want to go and race. And we've seen some drivers being very aggressive over the course of the 2 Assetto Corsa splits we've seen earlier on. So the question is going to be asked in terms of how they go about trying to get their series sorted here, Rory. How do you approach this from a qualifying perspective? What happens if you get it right? What happens if you get it wrong?
Well, if you get it right, of course, you know, you're off to a good start. And then if you get it wrong, it's kind of okay here. You can be more aggressive because, you know, we've got that kicker after race 2. We've got that second qualifying session. Previously, in all other regions or all other games so far, or simulators so far, it's been, you've got to be more conservative. And we've seen it start off conservatively, and then as the races progress, as the evening progresses, things get way more aggressive, and we normally just get absolute carnage, as we saw at Watkins Glen at the end. So yeah, it'll be fascinating. It very much depends on what kind of driver these people, what these individuals are. You know, for me personally, I'm a very conservative driver, and not a very quick one, but a very conservative driver. So I will be trying to just keep it cool, keep it calm, keep it collected, get a decent quali lap on the board, just try and take, you know, advantage of other people's mistakes, because there will be them here at Laguna Seca tonight.
Well, there absolutely will be, and I'm sure these drivers are going to try and mitigate this as much as possible, looking to wear Scuderia red in their career, of course, through the Ferrari HP Esports series, and looking to become a Ferrari HP Esports driver if they can get themselves through this entire championship and say, I am the one of one out there overall. So we're going to be getting that understanding of racing in just a few minutes' time. But I think these drivers are looking at, well, maybe this is going to be a more difficult place to overtake here today, but the difference between risk and reward is staggering. You've got that burnt grass here in the California sunshine on the outside of the circuit, and a lot of gravel, which can certainly play a little bit of hamperingness out there to those drivers. Just made up a word there. So you get a real sense of what do these drivers want? What do these drivers want to achieve? And this is the sort of circuit that's not going to hold your hand, so to speak, Rory. If you go wrong on this circuit and run wide, you will pay the price.
Absolutely, as you say, that just the abomination of stuff outside the tarmac at this place, it is just an absolute killer for you. I mean, the amount of times that I've been sucked off at the Rahal Straight coming out of turn number 6 is absolutely incredible. You think you've got the line, then you go wide and you're off, and you've got a terrible run all the way up to the corkscrew, and it's just absolutely lethal. Of course, as well, you've got those sausage curbs on the inside, so you've got to hit that apex. You've basically got to graze the sausage curbs, but if you get up and on them, then you're in big trouble. So plenty of trepidation here at Laguna Seca.
Oh, there absolutely is, and we've seen it so many times at the corkscrew, a corner which has pretty much set itself as the gold standard of racing track cornerage out there in the world. It is a one-of-one style corner. You can't replicate it, you can't make it anywhere else, and it is simply put fantastic. We've got drivers out there currently in qualifying, 5 minutes and 52 seconds remaining as drivers look to weave and get some heat into their tyres. But a chance to talk about the car here just for a moment, Rory. The Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, which is out there. So they're going to be dealing with 600 brake horsepower, which will be going through the tyres and trying to give them the best possibility here of getting victories at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, of course. It's so nice to see this car. I mean, the V8, the older model, of course, we're using the 296 V6s in the other sims. It's nice to see this car, isn't it? It's nice to hear it as well. Dare I say the good old days, Jake? The good old days.
Absolutely. When you've got that ability to really rush forward on the power, you can hear it through the ears, and look at the brake discs glow going into the Andretti hairpin. They are going to be needing a lot as they try and work through with a car that has a very lovely bit of balance, and it's one where you're pretty much dancing on the edge every single time you're driving a car like this. It's built to be very good in the medium speed corners, and so as such you look around the early sector of the lap where it's not quite as stop and start. This is almost ready built for a Ferrari here to go out there and lap.
Absolutely. I mean, just as we're watching here, Lucas Verla just looking to get his first lap on the board. We've got 4 minutes, well, just under 4.5 minutes left of this one. As we see Brandon Hawkin here as well, just entering the corkscrew. It'll be interesting to see when these times start flooding in. Of course, we've got a 7-minute qualification session here before the first race, which sets the grid for race number 2. So it's going to be super important here. Of the 2 qualification sessions we've got, this is certainly going to be the more important one and the more nerve-wracking one for these drivers as they kick off their campaign to have arguably a shot at probably the highest, would you say the most prestigious prize in all of sim racing?
It is certainly the most prestigious prize in all of sim racing. They don't just let anybody onto the Ferrari Esports team, the Ferrari HP Esports team, let me tell you about that. Verla goes fastest by 0.5 of a second. Brandon Hawkin, only for a brief moment, finding himself as the fastest driver in this field, and he's certainly no slouch. He's seen it all, he's done it all. He has certainly been an incredible driver, but rushing about now through into turn 4, now heading for turn 5, and the climb up the hill here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, a 10th up on his opening charge for Lucas Verla here in this second lap, and this is where you've got to be riding that tightrope, so to speak. It's a very aggressive corner there, turn 6. It's a one-line Suitsal corner with the anti-cut curb on the inside of the circuit. Very tough, and then you've got the plateau braking zone of the corkscrew. So easy to overcook it here out in this corner and down the hill once more into the rainy curve.
Yeah, I think he'll be thinking that he can push now. He's got a good banker on the board here. He'll be able to push a little bit more. It'll almost be a bit of a sigh of relief here. And there's some people further down the order who will be thinking the exact opposite, that they've got off to a bad start. I see some guys there 3.5, 4.5 seconds down who will now be pushing, knowing that they can't make any mistakes. So let's see. Oh, has just dropped down. No, he's actually just come through and held on to pole there with a 1:22.301. And it looks like he's going to be pulling into the pits for this one. Is it to go once more, I wonder?
Well, he's going to be very short on time to get around for it. He'll have about a minute, 50 seconds maybe, just to get around and put another time in. It will depend if Brandon Hawkin goes any quicker. Lozano finds himself third with Sadaka in 4th position, and Lopez moving up then into 5th. There is Caetano da Silva going 14th fastest, about 1.9 seconds off the pace of those up at the front. So certainly he's going to be looking for a little bit of help out there over the course of this race. It's not the end of the world in qualifying if you're a little bit down the order, but if you're trying to point score and play the board, you're probably going to need a little bit of help and try and move through some places over the course of the race. That's what we're seeing as we enter the critical phase of qualifying.
Yeah, of course. And just a reminder on the points, F1 scoring applies. For first, you get 25 points. Second, 18, then 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and then finally 1 point for the 10th place driver. But at the moment, it certainly looks like Verla and Hawkin have got off to a good start, over half a second here ahead of all of their competitors. Let's see if anybody else can join that party at the top.
Yeah, well, let's see indeed. And there is Brandon Hawkin, and that lap, I think, was more of a cool-down lap, try and get the tyre temperatures down into a range before going one final time out there in qualifying. He'll be dealing with a little bit of rubber that's been put down, so not maybe the most optimal tyres that he's got, but he's got to do everything he can, maximise every single corner here in the Ferrari HP Esports series. But if he's going to attack that hard on the exit of turn 3, this lap might not be the one that he was hoping for, as Lopez moves himself up then to third fastest with that time. A wonderful bit of work then to try and put that together on the board. So Lopez doing what he needs to at this point to say, you know what, I am a challenger, do not count me out in terms of this, with Emmanuel Lopez now third, and that is Brandon Hawkin pulling off the circuit saying, I am not going to be in a position where that's going to work for me. Lucas Vela doing everything that he wants to in this qualifying. He knows that it will have to be a driver like Sadaka or Lopez or Lozano who is there behind, who will jump up and potentially find something. Here is Emmanuel Lopez, checkered flag out in qualifying. They are allowed to finish the laps that they start. So this is going to be a huge lap for Emmanuel Lopez. It will give him some security because he's only at 400ths of a second here, Rory. And there he goes, down the corkscrew, loses out, so he won't improve.
Nope, there we go, that's that then. But then, that's that thing, you know, he can push, he could afford to push. He'd already nailed P3 at this point. Yeah, a little bit far off, half a second, but you know, he could push. And let's see, Verla's abandoning his lap here. He knows, or at least he thinks, he's got himself P1. It looks like he's got that, Jake.
It looks like he does as well, and that's a pretty big qualifying for him, knowing that he has got to make a statement, and the first statement is always qualifying. You cannot win races by qualifying, but my word, does it make it so much easier if you put that car up on pole position, and that is what we are seeing here in the Ferrari HP Esports series. These drivers are willing to throw everything at it, and it looks like we've got a game of 2 up there at the front if that qualifying session was anything to go by. So your takeaway then, Rory, after that, because it's a short qualifying session, it's very difficult to get the rhythm, and often you need that muscle memory of a circuit to really go and unlock it when you've only got 3 or 4 laps max.
Yeah, I mean, the guys at the top have done a fantastic job, obviously, but now comes the racing. You know, there's one thing to quali, it's the next thing to race. How are people's nerves going to be when, you know, it's game time for real here? We've got a couple of packs. We've got the first 2 who are about half a second ahead of everybody else. It's going to be fascinating to see how they behave. Certainly P2, you know, is P2 going to go for P1? Is P1 going to defend against P2? Are they just going to bag points? How is it going to work? Will they work together to get ahead of that pack of, I think, about 3 drivers who are half a second behind, but very, very close? They're only just about a 10th apart, was 3rd, 4th and 5th. So, you know, it's going to be fascinating. We know the top 5 that we've seen. We've seen the names there already. There's characters coming to the fore, but who have we not seen yet? That's what I want to know. There's often people who come through from the pack. Someone may have had a terrible quali session and really, really not reached their potential and will really show themselves in this. Either way, I'm just excited to get going.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well, and I cannot wait to see these 3 races putting themselves into play. Of course, worth noting that difference, of course, there'll be a second qualifying session between races 2 and 3, but they are going to get themselves set up then on the grid and know that this is going to be an all-important run here at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Of course, you've got Lucas Vela on the pole position, Brandon Hawkin alongside for company there in the blue, and then just alongside him another blue machine right next to him, another blue Ferrari Evo out there, and that is going to be, of course, Emmanuel Lopez, who is going to try and jump up and try and disrupt the flow of those front 2 out there overall. 6 lights then on the dash. Let's get ourselves going because it's race 1 of 3 here in round number 9 of your Ferrari HP Esports series, and it's a comfortable start by Lucas Vela, who is able to get that run that he wants. Not necessarily the best starts all throughout the field. They dive into the Andretti here for the first time, looking for those opportunities to say, you know what can I do? Sedaka hoping for a really good run then in the early goings too, as they now rush on forward in through the right of turn 3 and over towards turn number 4. This is where they've got to sit down and say, I am going to make myself counted in a race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a perfect start here for Lucas Vela. He was on the inside at the start, so all he needs to do is really get off the line. It's going to take a lot to go around the outside at the Andretti hairpin at, on the very first corner of this championship here, or their campaign here. It all looks reasonably safe and happy at the moment, but that's what we've seen over the earlier rounds. Everybody kind of just keeps it chill for the first couple of laps. They settle in, and then people start taking their shots.
Yeah, you can see there, you got Angel Chan there in 6th position, Sedaka behind in 7th, looking for a way through. He did run off slightly wide, coming up the hill from turn 6 over to 7, and another wiggle going through at turn 10. Here comes the chance to the outside then by Sedaka on Angel Chan. The Mexican driver now is going to have to try and defend that inside line all the way, but he doesn't have the slipstream of the cars in front. Has to fall back into rank and file, and as such stays as they are. Vela leads, Hawking second. You've got Lopez in third, and Lozano is in 4th position at the moment with Munro. Good start by Munro, who finds himself up in 5th place off of the start of this race. That's definitely going to be good for Lucas Munro, who is going to be there. Sorry, Lucas Murno out there, who's going to be doing a very good job. Angel Chan continuing to try and follow. It's 7 clear at the front of this field.
Yeah, that's a fantastic move by Sedaka. They're around the outside, jumping on the opportunity of the smallest of slips there from Chan. Sedaka was around the outside at turn 11. You don't see that very often. You see Murno there as well. I mean, he would have seen that in his rear view as well. He would have seen a different colour car come out of turn 11. So I think he'll have his eyes on the back of his head a little bit as well. He wants to see if Sedaka there is going to keep pushing, and it'll be interesting to see how long it takes him, if he can, of course, get onto Murno's rear wing.
Taking a look further back at Elias Gabriel, who is hoping that he can find a way on Vinicius for position. So that's going to be a tough, tall order down there in 22nd position, hoping that that pass is going to be unlocked, and there is going to be that chance on Raul Vinicius to go forward. But back up to Sedaka, who has definitely got his eyes set on moving forward. Murno will now have to try and find a defensive line in towards the opening section of circuit here at the Andretti hairpin. Doesn't quite manage that then in the goings there through turn 2, but it's very difficult. This is going to be very much like watching a few Grandmasters. This is a Magnus Carlsen versus Hikaru Nakamura style race, where they are going to sit down and they're going to try and work out pretty much laps in advance, how do I get that move on the car in front?
Well, that is a good reference, Jake. I like that. I like that. But yes, absolutely. Now we're going to see what Sedaka is made of here. Obviously, he took advantage to go around the outside at turn 11 last lap, or a couple of laps ago. But can he do it through clean driving, or is he going to have to wait for a mistake? Can he force a mistake out of Murder? We don't know about this. Sedaka's one of those characters that I said in the pre-race here, who is coming to the fore. Someone who we didn't speak about at all in Quali, and he's becoming one of the main characters here in race 1. So it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on. The first two are running away with it a little bit. Vela is about half a second ahead of Hawking, and then they've got a little gap to Lopez in third. And then the battle that we're looking at, well, actually, Lozano is sandwiched in there as well. But then this is the battle that we're looking at, and it looks like he's sizing him up here. Could we see a move down into Andretti?
Well, every driver wants to go hard to that inside line. He finds himself at about a third of a car length back to the rear bumper, so not enough to go and get that move into the opening corners of this circuit. You've got that small kink left to turn 1. The Andretti hairpin officially is turn 2 out here on this circuit. So now this is where you've got to try and settle down, find a rhythm, and you can blink and you miss it in a race like this. We are already heading up to 1/3 distance here in this one as drivers look to try and put their best foot forward, and at the moment it is 2 at the front and everyone else trying to give chase. Sedaka runs wide, and that might allow Angel Chan to get back into this battle right now for 5th, 6th and 7th, and we're talking about points right now. These are still some really important points. Even if you're 4th, 5th, 6th, you've got to try and hold on to as many points as you can, because if you can, they will add up to the end of the season if there's troubles up front.
Yeah, and only one of these drivers, we've mentioned it a couple of times, Jake, only one of these drivers is going to Ferrari World at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So everything is going to be playing, every point is what I'm trying to say is going to count here. And speaking of 1 point, we're looking here at 10th place as Verla puts in the fastest lap of the race. He really is starting to send a message here and just command this race. Now 7 tenths ahead of Hawk in there, and they've got a decent 2-second gap to Lopez. But let's see what Fantozzi can do. Can he get an extra point here by taking 9th place?
Well, Fantozzi has got himself a really good attempt here against Rand Marino, who is there just in front. Behind that, you've got Max Bowman, who is out there, and he's having to deal with Rojas for position. So Rojas is really trying to move up and get any form of pointage out of this race that is there and possible. So there is going to be a sense that these drivers are looking at, well, what can I get out of this race? If I can't get inside the top 2, then I've got to look at the top 4, 6, 8, top 10. That's the big boundary that everyone's looking at. Can I get a top 10? And Fantozzi here is doing just everything he can to try and pressure Rand Marino into a mistake on the brakes up at the corkscrew, and it's just not there. It's the 2 yellow Ferrari 488 Evos that follow in tandem at this moment as they try and consolidate their race, because the last thing they want to do is throw 2 and 1 point out the window and say I'd come away with nothing out of this race one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about points here for this race. Is it worth potentially losing it here as there's contact? Is it potentially worth risking losing it all and starting down in 23rd place for the next race? So, do you want to bag that 1 point and that 2 points? I don't know. Only Bruno can answer that question in this one. But yeah, let's see what he is going to do. Is he going to go for the 2 points, or is he going to settle for that one? But, maybe he can't settle, because we've got P11 coming for him pretty quickly.
Yeah, Max Bowman is starting to get himself in. There's a spin, and I think that's going to be Peckley who's gone around there. So disaster for Peckley out there in this race. Gabriel Peckley now drops down the order. It opens the door up for Fantozzi to try and get this pass on Rand Marino, and he's not going to get that sorted, but he will defend up the hill towards turn 6. So suddenly add a tiny drop of chaos, and watch the powder keg ignite wide through the corner. Here goes Max Bowman up the hill. He'll get that one sorted.
Yeah, this is where people, that is him being put off by that issue up in front. We were speaking earlier about how much of a risk versus reward track this is. You've got to be absolutely on the limit, but you can't put one little bit of your tyre off onto the horrendous stuff that is not tarmac here. Anything else other than tarmac, you're in trouble here at Laguna Seca. We've just seen that twice on the last lap alone.
Yeah, we absolutely did, because Mauricio Lozano is down in 12th position now, and all the while the top 2 aren't seeing any of this out there at the front. They are 7/10 of a second, the gap between them, and 6 seconds clear of Emmanuel Lopez in 3rd position right now. Riding the brake through the middle of the corner is Max Bowman, and he's really trying to open up an opportunity. You can sense that he's got an innate aggression about him and the way that he drives, but not to the sense where he's making that car twitch through any of these corners. He is very much planted with the way that he drives. And would you say, Rory, that he is probably looking like one of those drivers who maybe didn't get the best qualifying he wanted, but the way that he is driving right now, he's got something in a race set that works for him?
Yeah, he's driving like a man on a mission, much like Sadaka there. I suspect that these two guys weren't best impressed with their quali session, which so it'll be interesting when it comes down to that second quali session that we've got after race 2 to see where these two end up. Was it true that they didn't have the greatest quali session, or have they just got much better race pace than
look at this.
Being able to put? Yeah, let's see what he actually does here. Let's see, because running out of time here, 5 minutes left in this one. He's piling on the pressure here. He wants P7.
Well, he's gone up and under at Rainy Curve, up and under at turn 10, round the outside of turn 11. They will drag race all the way to the Andretti hairpin, and he has got a fantastic run on Ran Marino here to get this sorted. Max Bowman now trying to scrap wing mirror to wing mirror as they dance on the brakes. Room given, no there isn't. Contact there for Bowman, and suddenly Fantozzi says, I want a piece of this action, looking to that inside turned outside for turn 3, and ultimately can he use the grip there from the rear spoiler to give him what he wants? He's still got a chance, front to rear contact between them, but somehow Bowman holds on to it.
Yeah, I think that was very much a case for Marino saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you there, as he's, is he still under pressure? I thought, to be honest, the contact was going to come out of turn 11, not turn 2, so I'm not surprised at all that happened. It just happened a little bit later than I thought. But now look how this has changed everything for Max here. Now he's actually managed to recover slightly, but he's gone on the offensive and has been on the offensive for some time as Rojas tries to go around the outside here at the corkscrew. Did he get it done? I'm not sure. They're both blue cars. I don't think he did. He's going to have to wait here. But yeah, as I was saying, Max has gone from the aggressor to now he has to defend. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of behaves and reacts in these different circumstances. But it's all kicking off here.
It absolutely is in the mid-pack. I'd love to go back up to Vela and to Brandon Hawkin at some point in this race, because they're having a great race of their own at the front, as we've just had a change for third position. Something happened to Emmanuel Lopez out there at the moment. He's fallen down 2 spots at this point, and he's definitely in a position now where he's got to be very alert. Look how heavy it's now battling here in for that final spot on the podium. Race 1 of the Ferrari HP Esports series here for the AC Americas qualifiers. You now get a look at Emmanuel Lopez, who is not very happy. Murno has found his way through. Sedaka and Angel Chan have been racing all day long, side by side through turn 6. There's always going to be one winner and one loser, and that winner is once more Sedaka.
Yeah, I mean, they've swapped positions, but now Sedaka is back through. Yeah, it'd be fascinating to know what happened to Lopez there. But just like I said at the start of this one, everything seems nice and calm at the start of these races. Once everyone settles in, people start making mistakes, people start taking their shots, and we're seeing some fantastic entertainment as a result. This has been a brilliant race.
Yeah, Tyler Sedaka has definitely been a star in this one, but do not count out the top 2 that we saw for a brief moment flying away at the front. You've got Lucas Vela and Brandon Hawkin, and with 2 minutes 15 seconds to go, we've got 2 laps left of racing here in race 1 of 3 tonight. You definitely don't want to tune away from this when you know that 2 great drivers at the front of the field, and I think we've seen that there's not been a move, there's not been anything aggressive at the front. They've just been biding their time, knowing you've got one chance and one opportunity.
Yeah, one of these 2 at the moment. There's 2 people in pole position for Ferrari World at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. It's Verla and Hawkin, and they are taking. They want to grab as many points as they can. And you know they're in a good spot right now. You know they've been both a pair of absolute silent assassins just up the front. We haven't seen anything of them, and that's something they're going to be very, very happy about. But let's see what happens here for the top 10. So we've got 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th here. 2 yellow Ferraris. We've got a white one, I believe that is, or is that a silver? No, it's definitely a white. And a blue one. Let's see what happens here. So, he was almost gone there at Rahal. Let's see if he goes for it in the corkscrew.
Oh, it's late on the brakes, but ultimately backs out. So Ran Marino doing everything that he needs to, and they will soon be starting this final lap. I think they just have. We've got to look up at the top 2 in this race and see how it's going to play out between Lucas Vela and Brandon Hawkins. Surely we have to, with Max Bowman in 9th place, trying to throw everything he can here to dive down the inside with every point mattering. And we might be 3 wide on the exit here, entering the final lap of this race, and backing out of it in the end is going to be Marino, because Fantozzi is there on the inside hoping to try and find that move up, and there's the contact. Round they're going to go, 1 and 2, straight across goes Bowman, desperate to try and avoid everyone. He just scampers on by. That's going to bring Fantozzi through, and that's going to bring the likes then of Maurizio Lozano through right now. But you've got to keep an eye out on the front of the field, and hopefully we'll see it, more contact between them as they start driving through. There's the chaos we were expecting. expecting. Almost 3 wide as they go in towards turn 5. Off the road goes Bowman, and through goes Fantozzi into position. But at half a second, Brandon Hawkin can't quite find what he wants because Lucas Vela has just kept him at an arm's length and has said very much that you are not getting close. There's a look to the mirrors on the inside. Brandon Hawkin has thrown everything he can at it without making a solid move. Lucas Vela, just too quick, takes race 1.
Absolute class driving, not just with Vela, but Hawkin as well. But steady on, gentlemen, back there. Crikey. I mean, what was going on that final lap? I wonder if they're still going, to be honest with you. I wonder if they all made it through. I was surprised quite how much contact there was coming through turn 1 down into turn number 2, but then it looked like Max had held on to it. But well, let's see.
Look at where he is. He's now down in 19th position. So Fantozzi, I think, is going to take second. With Murno third, it's Emmanuel Lopez fourth, Tyler Sadaka fifth, and Angel Chan in 6th position. It's Lozano, Rojas, and then John Ackerman finding himself in with the final point in race number 1 of this America's qualifier for Assetto Corsa here in the Ferrari HP Esports series. Well, tell you what, that's how strong they're going to want to run this one, in the middle of the pack. Pretty much proved it there, Rory, in terms of how they were wanting to go about their business today. They wanted to get a ticket to Ferrari World Yas Island at Abu Dhabi, but the issue they ran into was a case of they were battling each other too much, and they let the top 2 run.
Absolutely. But, you know, what can they do? You know, there's only one place up for grabs here in the Americas region on AC. So they absolutely have got no choice but to go for it. The first 2, the top 2 there, absolute class. They did exactly what they needed to. There was a 12-odd second gap to 3rd place. That goes to show what was going on there behind them. But as we've seen in other regions, you know, just because things go well in the first race doesn't necessarily mean that they've got a ticket to Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi just like that. That's, you know, there's so much more to play for, especially with this format as well. Race 2, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I want to see what Sadaka does. I mean, obviously Max is now way down the field, so can he come back and get a point? That'll be a big story in this one. But then they get to go again with that magic second quali session. That is going to be the kicker for me, to see if some of these guys who've got in the mix for this first race and are out of it in the second race, let's see if they can put themselves firmly up the front for the final race of the evening.
Well, we'll get confirmation of unofficial result as it will form the grid for race number 2 out there. Lucas Vela will pick up the victory over Brandon Hawkin, with Lucas Murno picking up 3rd position and a 2nd row start in race number 2. There, the points going through. Emmanuel Lopez will pick up 12, with Tyler Sadaka in 5th and Angel Chan 6th. So you can see the points coming into play, 10 and 8 points respectively. Bruno Fantozzi will take 6th, with Mauricio Lozano, after starting 3rd on the grid, falls back to 8th position overall. We do have to stress that these points are unofficial as things stand, as Rodrigo Rojas and John Ackerman pick up the final points they go through. All races tonight here, Rory, are going to be under stewards review post-race, which means that we could see some changes in the points depending on how incidents play out and how the stewards view the action that's going on here in the Ferrari HP Esports series. But we'll touch on that in just a little moment, because we're just about racked up and ready for race number 2. Let's put another 15 minutes worth of time on that clock. Let's say here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, let's put on a second showcase and say who is going to get what they want out of it. I think you got to look about 8 rows back for one driver who is yet to put himself on the grid. I believe that might be Brian Shabelski that we're waiting for out there at this point, but he'll take a start from the pits. We'll get 6 lights on once again, and let's go for race 2 tonight, and let's get ourselves underway once more. A fantastic start off the front. Drama as they're 4 wide. We got one car in the pit wall on the left-hand side, and immediately now it's about drive going through, almost front to rear contact between Brandon Hawkin there and Lucas Vela, and there is Emmanuel Lopez trying to get in. Little bit of argy-bargy then through the Andretti hairpin, and there's the contact. Lopez gets turned.
Lopez gone there. That is so unfortunate. He went one moment trying to wrestle P2 off Hawkin there, and then finds himself down. He's still falling in 24th place, even behind the guy who started in the pits. That's how badly that's gone over the first 2 corners there for Lopez. You hate to see it, but what we are seeing again here is the first 2 out in front. They've got another big gap, but this time, is Hawkin going to sit and let Verla win again? Or is he going to try and strong-arm that first place off him? They've both got decent points, but only one person goes through. One person. So, if he wants to be that one person, he's got to get past.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And I think you sit down and you look at what they are. They are 2 Greco-Roman wrestlers right now, locked in basically a contest of strength, and neither of them are budging, and no one is making a move. So I think that's where we sit and where we got at the moment. At the moment, look at who has been making some fantastic progress. Alexandre Fritz Conti up 6 spots on the opening lap. He finds himself in 5th on the back of Tyler Sadaka.
Good man. Well done. Well done indeed. And I think, you know, with the way things have been going here, he may well... Oh, commentator's curse there. Let's see how many places he loses. Bit ambitious there maybe into turn 2, but he's going to have to do it all over again as he falls down to 8th place.
Yeah, that's going to hurt there for, of course, Fritz Conti out there. He's got work to do now to try and pull himself back through this field. Oh, that's dramas on the inside. That's Franco in trouble there. So that's going to be huge for another drop then of position. Santino Franco-Davico, I think that might have been, who found himself dropping down the order, and he had gone well up through the field, up from starting 16th. He was inside the top 5. Suddenly it's John Ackerman who finds himself in that position, and he'll have a real smile with Bryant Mata now behind him in that P6. I tell you what, points are going to be very hard fought as they run through down the corkscrew for the smaller positions here in this race too. And believe it or not, we're not even 3 minutes through yet.
Yeah, we've still got over 12 minutes to go. It's been fascinating already. But this is going to show, you know, oh, someone's trying to go around the outside of Fritz Conti here. They're not going to do it. Are we going to get anyone chucking it up the inside into turn 11? No, everybody's through. But what I was going to say, oh, no, we have got some moves behind. But what I was going to say was, obviously we've got Quali after this. So they're going to absolutely go for it. They've got nothing to lose here.
Oh.
Let's just see what they do.
Wow, that was massive in the back. I think that was Galvao, who very nearly found himself with contact going up airborne through the opening section of road. I think he's just about got away with it. We focus on Fritz Conti here, who's rushing through turn 3 and over towards turn 4. Inside line is there from Franco, and off the road goes Fritz Conti, and he'll lose the place, not 1, but 2, because Peckley goes through, Galvao goes through, sorry, that's 3, and there goes another going on by. So keep an eye out here, because that's McKeckley who finds himself there, and that's dramas going through, and I think that's Angel Chan.
Yeah, speaking of one of Andel Chan and his mates, Sadaka has fallen all the way down the order to 24th. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know if the producer will be able to find that for us or let us know. All I saw was a name plummeting down the order. Hardware failure, I'm being told. Hardware failure. So he's not going to finish this one. Oh, but luckily for him, he's got another shot. If this was any other game, or sim, I should say, he wouldn't. That would be his night over because he'd be starting from the back. But yeah, let's see what he does when he comes back from Quali. But yes, all kicking off here. The only place it's not kicking off is there, up the front.
Oh, it's such a serene and tranquil environment here at the front of this race. It's almost like they've got a spa day between those two. Of course, Lucas Verla and Brandon Hawkin. Those two have not made any noise all evening here. They have been just sitting, looking at everybody else, thinking, what is the big idea? We're just having a great battle of pure pace at the front, and everyone else is just scrapping to try and hold on to what they can. Moves being made further down as Peckley now jumps up into 6th position ahead of Mata out there on track, and there is Bryant Mata, who is seeing that position gone and now chasing up the hill heading towards turn 6. We really have seen a boatload of overtaking as there goes Galvao trying to find a way through. Danny Galvao hoping he's got a way through.
Yeah, I mean, Bryant Mata here, he's going to have to hold on, you know. He's right in the thick of it here. Is he going deep? Someone's going deep. Yep. Yeah, he's gone wide there, going into the corkscrew. He's gone deep, so it's going to compromise him all the way down through the rainy curve here. But it looks like he's got enough space from Fritz Conte behind. Yeah, he's got plenty of space there, so he's okay. He lives to fight another day. But let's see if P8, who's had a roller coaster of a race this time out, let's see if he can once again get himself back up into the top 6.
Let's see indeed, because there are a couple places that Fritz Conti can jump through. There is Angel Chan in 9th position, and you talk about the drivers who are outside the top 10. Emmanuel Lopez, you've got, of course, Mauricio Lozano, who is outside of that top 10. Bruno Fantozzi, we saw have a fantastic race. Max Bowman down there in 20th position, and Tyler Sadaka down in 24th. It has been a fraught race for all of those drivers who realise that there are no gimmies in the Ferrari HP Esports series. You don't just magically get promoted with a victory. You've got to earn it, and they are finding out the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I say, they've got nothing to lose here. We got Quali after this. It's all reset. They all get another chance to go again. As somebody else has gone off there. Is that Vinicius there? I think so, or Roas in front of it. Yeah, Roas, that was Roas. I mean, it's difficult to keep up with all these guys. They're all over the show as they try and push as hard as they can here around this Laguna Seca circuit. 1 inch wrong and they are in big trouble. We're seeing that so often today, but this will be fascinating to see. Max is on an absolute mission here. I think he's going to be chucking it sooner rather than later.
Well, you need 3 pairs of eyes to work out what's going on in the background. I think that was Vinicius potentially running off the road, or maybe even, yes, it was Raul Vinicius off the road there in the background having a massive moment. But look further up the field, Angel Chan still sees again that Bryant Mata is having to put his best blocking boots on here in race 2 and play defense over the anti-cut curve, and contact between the pair, and running into them is Angel Chan, who can't capitalise. Off the road they both go, and he's still going to get it. How has he come up with that?
And through goes Chan there. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic stuff from him. I didn't think he'd make it through there, to be honest. He was very polite and he tried to get out of it, but he ended up making contact with Fritz Conte anyway, who chucked it up the inside. So let's see if he can hold it on here. Look at that queue of cars who are behind him. Let's see if he can hold on to this. It's going to be fascinating. But you know Fritz Conte is going to want to try and get past again. That was super aggressive down into the Andretti hairpin.
Alexandre wants places, and he wants them quickly. Look at what all of the battling has done. It's opened up a 5.5 second gap almost now to Peckley, who sits there in a really lovely position. Gabriel Peckley is, of course, now looking at that 6th place and thinking, oh, these would be some really nice points. At the moment, we are about to start talking about a deadlock being broken, because that gap just flicks over a second between Verla and Hawkins. So Brandon Hawkins losing half a second on that last lap, now finds himself a little bit adrift. But there is Alexandre Fritz Conti, hoping he's got a way through on the Mexican Angel Chan. And Angel right now, I think, is trying desperately to be a patron saint, because he needs to make sure that everything is tranquilo.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, Fritz Conte is going to chuck one up the inside. We've seen it twice in this race already, and he was the beneficiary. Chan was the beneficiary of the last attempt that went wrong for Fritz Conte, so he's going to be driving 1 eye in front, 1 eye in the rear view, because he's going to be seeing that red Ferrari bear down on him. But then also, Fritz Conte, if he's going to go for it, he needs to get the move done, because he's got Lopez. And he's out of probably slipstream range at the moment. Actually, he's maybe just in at 8/10 of a second behind, but that will quickly diminish with a well-defended move if Fritz Conte goes for it. But he's pushing hard. He's gone wide there at Rahal.
It's so easy to do onto the Rahal straight, which is one of the toughest ones out there, up the hill and looking. Here's Mauricio Lozano, who's trying to think, can I just get 1 point? Oh, straight off the road there goes one of the red Ferraris, and I think that was Fritz Conti there. That allows Emmanuel Lopez a freebie up into 8th position, so smiles all around there in the Argentines camp out there at this point. So brilliantly done. Lozano trying to pick up that run out of turn 10 into turn 11. Long way round with a hip check. Going down through. Are they all going to get it slowed up? Yes, they are. Now, what's the up and under? Well, this is a case of Rubbings Racing, and Lozano getting it done on Bryant Mata, saying welcome to the Ferrari HP Esports series.
Absolutely. What a lovely cutback. But no, he's chucked it back on the inside of it again. He's playing it cool, calm and collected there. Mata is just wanting to absolutely go for it there. He's gone deep and it may cost him another place there. But he may well hold on to it. Let's see. He's gone a bit wide here. Let's just keep an eye on this.
Oh, it's going to be close, but he just holds on. I think they're going to have to continue on. This is Daniel Galvao on the outside who, he tries to throw him up and under, the old Michael Schumacher move to try and get it sorted. And you may find out that he gets it done. Oh, that's a sensational bit of driving.
Yeah, he just spooked him there, didn't he? He almost left him Bryant Mata almost left him a little bit too much room there. He was spooked. He thought he was going to go deep, but then he's cut back under him here as we come up to the corkscrew.
Oh, now look at this. Half a lap of pure intense battling. Is there going to be a final definition? There's contact between the two. Somehow they keep it pointed on the level. Bryant Mata still holding his ground. You shall not pass him at this moment for 12th place.
No, but I tell you what, Fantozzi will pass, and he's pushed him out onto the grass as well. I don't know if that was just a robust move or that a bit naughty there. Who knows? We'll see. Well, it doesn't really matter at this point, does it? I mean, we're running here. We've got just over 3 minutes left. I mean, we're looking at this. It's a battle for 12th place. This goes to show how many incredible battles there are all the way down this field. But all the meanwhile, we've got Verla and Hawkin just waltzing off into the distance. 10 seconds the gap to third now.
Absolutely monstrous, their gap, and Brandon Hawkin, give him some credit. That was up at a second, and he's pulled that back to half a second, which is no easy feat to do. He's got pace, and he wants to burn it. We did just see in the background a shot going over towards turn one. The loss of a final point for Justin McKechnie, who will be hoping to try and get that back off of Mauricio Lozano, but I doubt that we're going to see that. Bryant Mata up the hill now, sees that Fantozzi wants to try and get through, but no dice there at turn 6, the ever difficult turn 6. They're going to have to try and find some work again. Brandon Hawkin, 2 laps to find it. He needs an oomph, he needs something, a weapon that is going to get him through on Lucas Vela, because at the moment, it's pretty much a case that he has got all the bark available of saying I'm quick, but no bite.
Yeah, Verla's saying you're quick, son, but you're not quick enough. That's what he's saying here, and this is what he's telling him. So Hawkin has to try and get this psychological advantage back in his favour. He's got to at least close the gap a little bit more on Verla, at least put him under a little bit of pressure, because whilst it's half a second, I don't think he's close enough to really put some serious pressure on Verla, who appears to have been in control all evening so far.
He has said that this will be my Ferrari HP Esports Series, America's qualifier here on Assetto Corsa. You have to wrestle this championship lead away from me, sunshine. And for Brandon Hawkin, he has done very well at holding himself close. He has been someone who has been right up there at the pinnacle of sim racing. He is someone who, on any given day, is a contender in any given race. But he finds himself just 1/2 a second out of reach as the last lap starts.
Yeah, let's see what they do here. Let's see what they... If they finish the way they are, he's going to be 14 points, though, already behind Verla. So it's really, really important here for Brandon to try and at least put something out there. Just go for a look. Just do something to try and let him know that you're still there and you're still up for this, because he's kind of been his rear gunner. It's almost been like, you know, the older Red Bull days when it was just a 1-2, you know, all the old Ferrari days or whatever team you want to pick. It's just been really, really close, but no cigar so far for Hawkin.
Yeah, this has been a case of follow my lead, and Brandon Hawkin has not been in a position where he can throw a Hail Mary down the inside and make something stick. 0.4 of a second, he might get a half chance up at the corkscrew if he's brave enough, and as they hit the brakes up over the top of the plateau, it's not there. Lap traffic's going to play a factor, and I believe that is going to be Kistel who's going to be there in front, who they're going to have to try and navigate a way around in the final stage of this one. Just 2 corners to go, and is this going to open up for an opportunity? Lucas Verla on the cusp of making 2. A half thought by Brandon Hawkin, but he thinks better of it because he wants to drive to the line, but he is going to be out of time again. 2 from 2 for Lucas Verla. He is making it his series, his championship to try and defend.
Incredible stuff there from Verla. Incredible stuff from the front two in these first two races, to be honest. They've been the absolute class of the field. Cool, calm and collected. Verla more so than Hawkin, who was trying to catch him, whilst it all kicked off behind. So we're still waiting here, I think, to see who comes in third. We've got Murno in third. Then we've got Ackerman in fourth, Franco in fifth, and then the rest are filtering across the line. And it's really just been such a war of attrition in this second race. As I mentioned, you know, things are nice, cool, calm and collected until the pressure ramps up and people start absolutely going for it.
Well, everything is all nice and civil, and of course everyone hands out their business card and says, hey, this is what I'm able to do, hi, nice to meet you. But when effectively the gloves come off and the knuckle dusters decide that they want to go on, it's going to be a very, very tough race in the Ferrari HP Esports series if you are not up there at the front and taking advantage of the gaps that built. And the thing in that race too, really, Rory, was it happened at turn 2, and everyone behind third position basically went, right, it's chaos, let's go for it.
Yeah, the front two have gone, it's on, is what everybody else said. Also, you know, we've got Quali up next for the next race, so everything is now all square. You know, the things that the top two have done in the first two races no longer matter. It's gonna, all the timing sheets are reset to 0. We go again. So the guys who we saw, the names, that the people who made names for themselves and that we were following through those first two races, are now going to have another opportunity, starting afresh, to get up the front where they believe that they belong.
Well, that's the tail of the tape up in the championship. Brandon Hawkin in second to Lucas Vela, 2 from 2. Lucas Munro finds himself third with Emmanuel Lopez fourth and Angel Chan in fifth. John Ackerman's fourth place finish will leapfrog him up into sixth position. And then you've got Santino Franco Davico in seventh and Tyler Sadaka in position number 8. Over the page, Gabriel Peckley 9th and Bruno Fantozzi in 10th. 13 drivers so far have been able to put a point. The best of those who have yet to score a point, Trey Lambrecht down there in 14th position with a lot to think about, already being 50 points adrift over the course of this Ferrari HP Esports series. But wowee, that is pretty much what this racing's going to be. Those top two have lightning fast pace, and it is pretty much a case of who has got that little extra something over someone else, because we have never seen a move.
It's been out. These first two races have been absolutely fantastic. This series, this format just promotes wonderful racing, especially at a track like Laguna Seca as well, where there's only a couple of places you can go for it. You have to be super, super quick all the way around, but you can't put 1 inch wrong, otherwise you are going to be off the track. And we've seen that so many times. It's been a fantastic first couple of races, hasn't it, Jake? I mean, the class of the first two, the aggression behind, they all know what's on the line here. Is, you know, an opportunity to drive for this. That is what they're all after, and I can fully understand why the pressure is what it is.
They want to be wearing Scuderia red on December 5th, at the end of December 5th, when they find themselves, of course, at Ferrari World Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. That is where they want to be at the end of that world final, saying, it's me, I'm the best sim racer out there, I will join the Ferrari HP Esports team. And that, I think, is going to be a huge motivator for those out there in this field. We've seen some great cameos through in the middle of the pack, but we have to start talking about top two at the moment. Lucas Vela has just been perfect, and the one place that Brandon Hawkin maybe hasn't been able to do as well has been the start. That's the only thing that's costing him at the moment, is he can't get the amazing launch that will propel him into an overtaking opportunity early.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get one hell of a launch here, because P1 starts on the inside. You know, turn 2, as it is, I mean, it's just a kink through turn 1 and then down into the Andretti hairpin. So really into turn 1, into the first big braking zone, he's going to have to go around the outside. P2's going to have to go around the outside of P1 to give you the run and the inside onto turn number 3. It's the only way you're going to really make a move here. And then once they settle in, I don't think there's too much pace difference between the pair of them. I just don't think there's enough for P2 to get ahead of P1 and make that move. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Quali, which is coming up next, See, can he string it all together to get ahead on the grid, or is somebody else going to come and spoil the party?
Well, this is where a second qualifying shakes everything up, because we saw how it was about half a tenth of a second in qualifying. We've seen that Brandon Hawkin and Lucas Vela have been pretty much 1 and 2, as even keel as it gets here in the Ferrari HP Esports series here in the Assetto Corsa qualifiers. The question is going to be, who wants to stand head and shoulders above the next driver who's out there?
Yeah, and we've got a lot of candidates who are going to get stuck in. I mean, so many of them. We've seen the likes of Sadaka. We've got Max as well. You know, we've got so many of these guys who have flashed across like our screens, and we thought, wow, they've got some serious pace. They've got some business to take care of today. But then things have just gone wrong for them. Whether it's been equipment issues, whether they've got stuck into things that they potentially shouldn't have done and lost time and spun and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see over the next 7 minutes in this second quali session if the grid stays the same as it has been with those top two, or is someone else, as I say, going to come and join the party.
Look, there are many difference makers when it comes to qualifying efforts. For those who didn't get a good race 2 in the back pocket, they knew they had nothing to lose when that happened, and they'll realise it'll be exactly the same as they head over to race 3. We do have some of our drivers out there on screen just trying to keep themselves in. Hi, Smile, you're on YouTube and Twitch at the moment with Ferrari on YouTube and, of course, Ferrari Esports on Twitch. And at this moment in time, this is a tiny bit of downtime for these drivers, a chance to breathe after 2 very heavy 15-minute races, and they will be looking at what can you do to move forward and gain that little bit of pace that's not necessarily there.
Yeah, he's probably looking, how can I repeat exactly what's going on? You see him there, he's just taking a big, deep breath, just looking up at his screen, thinking, when is it time to go? When is it time to go? When can I start and try to defend my 2 first places that I've got so far? I mean, you can just see how much it means to these guys. It looks like when you just see the cars in the races that they're just so cool, calm and collected. But I'm looking at someone right now. I mean, I'm no human body language expert, but he looks like he's reasonably nervous for a guy who's just had 2 wins back to back.
Yeah, I think pretty much he knows he's been in a fight for 2 races here, and he's got to do qualifying all over again, find it all over again, and this is a high-pressure environment, Rory. There is no doubt about it. The chance to be a Ferrari HP Esports driver is so huge for a number of these drivers. This is not as such as much of a test of who is the fastest, but who is the fastest and can handle the pressure of racing in a series like this one.
Yeah, who can hook it up over 6 races? That's all they've got to get to Ferrari World at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. That's all they've got. They've got 2 rounds, 3 races in each round. And so, yeah, there is so much at stake. And at races, at tracks like this, Laguna Seca, these guys on AC in the Americas region are going to do Laguna Seca, and then they're going to do Nürburgring GP. So there is just so much pressure on these guys to get it right. And as we've seen, just survive if things don't go the way you are or the way you want, and you find yourself in the pack, because there's a lot going on back there and a lot of people want to wear that red.
Oh, they absolutely do. It is a dream of so many people who look around the world and say that this is going to be arguably some of the prettiest, some of the most intense, some of the, simply put, most lauded car manufacturers and racing teams out there that the world has ever been able to produce. There is simply the Ferrari way and everyone else's way, and that's what we're seeing. Lucas Vela out on his outlap with 7 minutes on the clock once again. We've seen through his mind what he's got to do. That was a lot of weaving there in the background. That could have been disastrous there and into the barriers, but it's about settling down and realizing, right, I've got to do this once more here in this qualifying. Can I find the lap that hooks it all together?
Yeah, let's see if he can do it. Everybody in this field, everybody on this track, everybody in this competition has dreamt of it going absolutely perfectly, and they get a spot on the Ferrari HP Esports team roster. And at the moment, Lucas Vela could not have gotten off to a better start. His dream is almost coming to fruition here, but he's got to hook up a good outlap. He's got to get that first quali lap sorted, and then he's got to repeat what he's done in the first 2 races. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a case of can we see it, and let's go with him for the full flying lap here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's all about positioning out of turn 1 into turn 2. The Andretti hairpin, a double apex left-hander where you have to go in a little bit hotter than you think you can before you just diamond off the corner and attack back. Over to the left-hand side and now attack as close to the anti-cut curve on the inside through turn 3. These are transfer corners, and turn 4 is slightly more open and you can go slightly faster than you can at turn 3. Set up for the braking zone at turn 5 now. Over the right-hand curve and really throw the car in. Try and get the downforce to make the car stick. And now you're taking the long climb here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Turn 6 juts out at you and says it is about as subtle as a left hook as you go up through that section of road, and then the vista view of the corkscrew on the brakes, up over the top, pivot to the curb on the inside, use gravity to your advantage to the tune of 6 stories worth of building through the rainy curve, the famous motorcycle rider, before you now run towards turn 10. Again, maximizing all of the circuit, get the curves pretty much nailed on down, and then you got 1 more corner left. Turn 11, it's so innocuous out there. It's only 120 degrees left-hander, but it's tight, it's narrow, and pretty much everybody takes it for granted. Over the line goes Lucas Vela. 122.2 is your benchmark.
Yeah, let's see what everyone else can do. The people I'm looking out for here is Hawkin, who's come across. He is almost 5 tenths behind, so it looks like first blood to Verla here by quite some distance, in fact. All the names that we know are flying over the line here. We've got Fritz Conte, we've got Sadaka, we've got Lozano, Murno. We've got a few here that we recognise from the earlier races. But yeah, first blood, certainly to Verla.
Yeah, Lucas Verla with a magical lap time, that 22.2. He thinks 0.4 of a second's fantastic. He has pulled it off to the side and will go again. Maurizio Lozano is hoping that he can find some pace. 3rd position currently at this stage, but it is a magical lap time and he pushes really hard through turn 6. It's very difficult to find that corner correctly because if you go too wide, you're off the circuit and you invalidate the lap. If you're too early into the corner, you hit the anti-cut curb and you're definitely off the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been saying all night, 1 inch wrong and you're in trouble here. Either too little or too much, as you mentioned. But let's see, it's so cool to see some of these names. Like, we didn't know many of these names before this started. Those watching at home, us here in the virtual commentary box, you know, we didn't know these characters beforehand, but they're really coming to the fore. So now we know about Fritz Conte. We know that he's super aggressive. He's prone to a bit of a mistake as well. He makes decisions that he may want to have back, but what is undoubted about him is that he's super quick, and he's just put himself up into 3rd place here, as Hawkin has just put in a lap that is less than 1/10 behind Verla, 0.04 of a second. So again, his evening is going the same way, close but no cigar. Let's see if he can find that tiny amount of time to pip Verla and kickstart his championship.
If you want to know what 400ths looks like in a racing or a sim racing perspective, just imagine half a stack of paper in your hands of about 100. That is what 400ths looks like on circuit. You lay it down, it's 0.04 of a second. So not much at all for Brandon Hawkin. But this has been the story of his qualifying and the story of his races. Nearly does not cut it in the Ferrari HP Esports series.
No, especially in this region, or in this region on this sim as well. It may cut it on ACC, it may cut it on iRacing, but not here on AC, where we've only got 1 driver who is going to be going to Ferrari World at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So normally, you know, P2 would be fine, but this time P1 is all that matters.
P1's there, down to a minute. here in qualifying. And is Lucas Vela up? He is by a 1/10 of a second. He is going even faster yet. He's going to have to hope that there's no dramas in the final sector with cars in front who are also on qualifying laps here. So he needs to be brave on the brakes, run as close as he can to the silver Ferrari 488 Evo in front of him, drive with everything that he's got over towards the line. The slipstream's going to help in that sense, and over the line he is a 1/10 quicker than his last lap. He now finds himself with 1.5 almost in the back pocket, and Brandon Hawkin now has to go out on this final lap and find everything he wants to and then some. We'll see what he does as he crests the rise now, and we'll wait for the checkered flag to come out in 15 seconds time. He will not get another opportunity better than this to take pole position. 58.3, he's down by a 1/10.5. He needs a miracle now in this final sector of his qualifying effort. Checkered flag about to fly, and Brandon Hawkin using all of his road tax and then some in towards turn 11. Can he find a miracle out of the hat? The Canadian making that drive over towards the line. What's it gonna be over the line? 22.316. It's not there.
No, close, but no cigar. Verla again. He was so close. Hawkin was so close as Max Bowman there goes off, pushing extremely hard there. Got himself up to P5, but again, Verla, another notch in the bedpost. Again, I've beaten you, son. Again, that psychology there is going to absolutely pay dividends here as they go down to turn number 1. He's got the crucial inside line for this race number 3. But yeah, let's see what P2 can do, if anything.
Brandon Hawkin is a very mild-mannered character, if you have any chance to know him in the real world. And he has just stepped into here, and he realizes that effectively 2 qualifyings and 2 races, he is 4-0 down compared to Lucas Verla. And at some point, it's going to eat at you. It's going to be that psychology that's there. Lucas Verla on the pole position, Brandon Hawkin second, Alexandre Fritz Conti putting the car up in third ahead of Maurizio Lozano, and Max Bowman. What a qualifying by him to get a top 5.
Yeah, these are the names that I thought would be up there. These are the names, the Fritz Contes, the Bowmans. These are the guys that I've been waiting to see. They were obviously the ones who didn't have a great quali session first time out at the start of this evening. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. And, the front 2 here, are we going to see P2 just... I know, you say he's mild-mannered, but he can't be mild-mannered anymore. He has to go for it. One place goes to Ferrari World, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. And if he wants to be that person, and he wants to be that one representing AC, then he really, really needs to throw everything at this one.
Well, this is what we're talking about, a 14-point swing here today in this championship. The difference between 21 points leaving here for the Nürburgring or 7 points leaving here for the Nürburgring is night and day.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost, he'll almost have a victory in the bag. But let's see what they do here. Over to you, Jake.
Yeah, we'll wait for 6 red lights here on Assetto Corsa. There are no more races here tonight after this one. They must throw what they can at it. The inside line, of course, we've seen Lucas Vela, as he has been so synonymous with. Brandon Hawkin, as we've seen so synonymous on that outside track. And then it is Alexandre Fritz Conti. Can he throw a spanner in the works for some of these drivers here today? 24 looking to put their best foot forward, realizing there are no more opportunities tonight, and they will have a very long wait afterwards to get it sorted. 6 red lights here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Let's get ourselves going once again. A shocker from the 3rd row of the grid. What a start there by one of the red Ferraris out there pouncing, getting everything sorted now as they drive down in towards turn 2 of the Andretti hairpin. And once again, Brandon Hawkin trying to throw what he can. He takes the big long road around the outside, but the road hard travelled is not the one that's going to get him to the race lead. Verla survives and holds the 3rd straight time.
I don't think he's seen the rear wing of any other car all night, has he, apart from Quali. Verla, another fantastic start from him there. Hawkin tried it around the outside, but he's got to be careful, because he's got Fritz Conte, or he did have Fritz Conte right behind him, but he's got company there with Lozano behind him. Then we've got Max Bowman, Lopez, Franco, Murno, Chan and Sadaka, all names that we know rounding out the top 10.
It was a storming start by Emmanuel Lopez. He's up 3 places already. Max Bowman next on his list as they take the rise. It's about 7th place and everyone back, finding themselves in trouble. Murno off the road, and Murno here is going to drop way down the order, and I don't think he's going to score tonight in this 3rd race, and that's going to be a real hit to him and any hopes that he had. He was only 7 points back of Brandon Hawkin walking into this one, so he's going to be hoping that there's going to be a little bit more out there and a bit of fight left for him to climb up and maybe just get 1 championship point. Bowman finding himself on the back then of Maurizio Lozano out there in 4th position as 1 lap gets scored complete in race 3 of 6 in the Americas region for Assetto Corsa here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Down on the brakes goes there one Mr. Santino Franco Davico, who is hoping that he can find himself a chance to move up into P6 if that's at all possible against Emmanuel Lopez, but it's going to be Argentine versus Argentine, and we'll see who is going to find what they need as they head towards turn 5.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that the front 2 are running away with it a little bit again. The chasing pack is led by Fritz Conte, and I am telling you now, well, I predict, and it's basically a foregone conclusion, I think, it is going to kick off with 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. We have seen them time and time again absolutely go for it. They are all super aggressive drivers. They're super quick, but they've all been at different stages because of the quali times and all of this from the first. Oh, something's gone there.
Angel Chan there with Tyler Sadaka heading into the corkscrew. It will drop a number of drivers down the order. Peckley is one of them who has a massive bit of drama through that, and everyone scrambling to get through in the mid to late pack looking for 1 championship point. Franco still sits on the back here with 12 minutes and 6 seconds to go as they run, and Verla's out! Verla's out!
What has gone on there? What has gone on there? Hopefully the production team can let us know what's happened with him, because all we're seeing here, he's disconnected from the server, we're being told. So, that is absolutely heartbreaking. Heartbreaking stuff there.
It's the racing equivalent of having the engine go bang. There is nothing you can do about it, and he is out. Advantage Brandon Hawkin, and we might not be talking about 7 points behind. We might be talking about his 25 points. He's 14 down at the moment. He might walk to the Nürburgring 11 ahead.
Well, I mean, let's see if he can bring it all the way through. He has not seen the lead in the Ferrari HP Esports Series so far. All he's known is he's been being dragged around by Verla, but Verla is no longer there. It's now on you, son. Let's see what you have got, because you've got Fritz Conte and his friends coming for you. Let's see if you can pull this one out the bag.
Number 22 leading this field and doing a wonderful job of doing so. Fritz Conti in that 2nd place, and there is Emmanuel Lopez, who is in P5 now after all of that, trying to make the charge up and get what's needed, but he's looking very firmly back in his mirrors at, of course, the driver behind him, Santino Franco Davico, who wants to try and find his way through up inside the top 5. Looking to the outside, thought about it, but using the marker boards, 300 feet is what he's got on the brakes, and ultimately can't quite get close enough, and that's something that you'll find a little bit different with the marker boards here around American circuits rather than what you find in Europe. In Europe, it's in meters. Here, it's in feet and inches.
It's caught me out many a time. Many a time it has, but let's see, or hopefully we don't see, actually, if you're Brandon Hawkin, hopefully we don't see him again. Hopefully, and he will be hoping himself now to have the most boring next 10 minutes of his sim racing career, I think. I don't think he's probably been in a competition with so much at stake here, but he finds himself 3 seconds up with just under 10 minutes left to bring home his maiden victory here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Let's see what he can do, or hopefully not see. I think we're going to be looking at the battle for P2 for the rest of this one.
I think we might be here because you've got, of course, Maurizio Lozano trying to figure out if he can find a pass on Alexandre Fritz Conti. for position. I think that's going to be his port of call for this one, with Lopez, with Franco, all there, all trying to make sure that he is getting what he wants out of it. And right now, Lozano up the hill towards turn one once again. Fritz Conti, we haven't really seen him in a cool environment. We haven't seen him where it's not been so frantic, so lively and energized. This is where he can properly strategize for the first time, and I think he's doing a really good job, showing a great account of himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him on the offensive. Let's see how he is on the defensive. Is he as aggressive? I'm not sure. Let's see this. But there's kind of a couple of packs here beginning to form. We've got P2 and P3, and then we've got 4, 5, and 6. I'd be thinking, if I was Lopez, I mean, you've only got just under 9 minutes left, but you've got to be thinking, should you be working together at this point to try and catch up to P2 and P3? I mean, you can't trust Franco behind, of course, because they're not all sitting there with headsets on one another, and they're not teammates. It's every man and driver for themselves here. So, but that's what I would be trying to do. Trying to say to him, trying to say to Max, look, I'm not going to attack you here. Let's work together. Try and be friends for the next 8 odd or 7 odd minutes. Then we can go for it. But let's try and go for that pack in front.
Well, that's what the hope's going to be, and if they are getting stuck behind Max Bowman, which they are at the moment, look at how much time they're bleeding away here. 1.7 seconds, and there will be defensive lines being taken on Lopez. It's a silver Ferrari 488 Evo sandwich right now, with a very red Ferrari 488 Evo filling at this point. Where are you going to find it? The white machines there in 4th and in 6th. Diving through the Andretti hairpin at turns 2 and now over towards turn 3. All is calm right now between these drivers, not willing to put themselves out of line at any stage. They know they've still got half a race to go.
Yeah, Bowman missed a bit of an opportunity there. Franco went for Lopez down at turn 2, but as we saw out the corner of the shot, Bowman actually went wide there, so he couldn't capitalise on the opportunity, and now he's got Lopez on. Oh, he's gone wide again. So he's going alongside now as they come through to turn number 6.
Look at this, Bowman, a mistake where he could ill afford it, and the number 6 of Emmanuel Lopez moves himself up, and it might be 2 for your mistakes, because here goes Franco down the inside, and he is not going to want to wait, but he slides through the middle of the corner, and as such, Bowman survives.
Yeah, he was all at 6s and 7s there, and he still is, to be honest. Let's see what's going on here. Has Franco got the move?
Wow.
I think he has. Incredible stuff. Max Bowman there, one little mistake that started down at turn 2 means that he comes out of turn 11 2 spots down. Absolutely gutting for Bowman there.
I tell you what, that is so well done by Franco. I thought that he'd absolutely had no chance of that position with how wide he went, and he said he hooked that car back around, and Max Bowman looked like he saw a ghost. And just like that, it is once more going to be Franco who jumps up Santino Franco Davico up into 5th. 1 point on the offer right now with Bryant Matter holding the weight of the world behind, because you've got Angel Chan who is in there at the moment, and you've got Shabels who is going to try and keep himself in the mixture as well, hoping that it's going to be him that finds himself a really good chance. And Brian Shabelski is going to hope that he can move up 2 places, and he is looking so good right now for a championship point.
Yeah, a bit of a truly trained foreman here behind Matu, who holds the the final point here in the 3rd race of the evening. They've got a 5-second gap now to P9. So everything Mata is just going to be looking in his rear view here, but he's gone off. So he'll be looking in his... wow. 1, 2, 3. Is he going to lose 4 places there?
I think he's going to get away with 3 there, Rory. I don't know about you, but that just goes to show you how tough this is. All aboard, and you make 1 mistake, and welcome to the freight train.
Yeah, rather them than me, I can tell you that for sure. I would not want to be out here. Whoever wins this and whoever progresses to Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi has absolutely earned it. This has been the most raucous, like the most ferocious racing that we've seen, I think, so far out of all of the rounds. This has been fantastic.
This has been some wonderful racing, and it's been predominantly clean as well. We haven't seen the elbows out. We haven't seen wing mirrors being clipped. All we've seen is these drivers just trying to throw what they can at the wall, seeing if it sticks, and realizing if it's not on there for a move, they're going to have to sit, and be patient. But the thing about a race series like this, the Ferrari HP Esports series, the fact that you sit down, you look at it and say, you've got 15 minutes, show me what you've got. You have to be up there quick and making moves quick. Patience, you have very little time of.
Absolutely, and we're talking about the 24 best drivers in the American region. You know, these are no slouches anyway. You might see some people, you know, the likes of P22, Vinicius, who probably walks every single AC race that he's in. But in this environment, with these drivers, it's a completely different kettle of fish, especially at this track that, as we've seen and we've said so many times this evening, it's such a perfect choice for this series because you've got to be absolutely on it, but you cannot put one foot wrong. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble, as we've seen plenty of drivers fall foul of this evening.
Look at this, down the inside. Oh, this is brilliant work. He had made that so well. What driving by Santino Franco Davico. Up now into 4th position, getting the move done there on Emmanuel Lopez, who stares back at 5th position in the number 6. So he's now got a lot to do to get back. And also, you've still got Max Bowman. He's not let go of this group, and I think that's rather important to keep in mind. He's not let go. Speaking of drivers who've not let go, what about 2nd and 3rd? Because Lozano has not let go off of Fritz Conti.
No, but Fritz Conti has certainly let go of Hawkin. My, 7 seconds now. Incredible. But going back to that move back at turn number 2, it was almost like Lopez was a little bit submissive there. He didn't go defensive. He just gave up the inside line. Franco went through. Is he trying to consolidate that 5th place? Does he not know that he's got Max Bowman behind him, who's going to absolutely go for it, given half the chance based on the evidence we've seen this evening? So it's a fascinating move here. It seems to me as if Emmanuel Lopez is looking to bank those points, those 10 points for his 5th place, and then just roll on to the Nürburgring in about a month's time.
Yeah, it's don't give him a sniff. That's where he's at here, Emmanuel Lopez. He cannot allow Max Bowman a sniff out there at this point. This is where he has got to be so precise with 2 laps to go here tonight at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, knowing that on the horizon they will head to the Nürburgring on the 19th of October and know that this is going to be the be-all and end-all. This will be, by the time that we get to it, of course, the last ticket in town to book your place. But here goes Ackermann now trying to find a way through on Bryant Matter, looking to the inside. Look how hard they're fighting. This is for 15th. There's no points on the line.
No, I think I'd rather be watching the battles, see what's happening between P2 and P3, and then I want to see how Max Bowman ends up versus Lopez. Let's see who ends up in the top 5. These guys are just going to absolutely go for it, aren't they? They've got nothing to lose here. There's going to be fireworks here. I mean, that guy behind him's just crashed. He wasn't even in it.
Trey Lambrecht, I think that was, who found himself pointing the wrong way there as he just clipped the inside curve too much and drove himself out of trouble. So Trey Lambrecht then finding all sorts of drama. Bowman now finding himself looking behind. That's Tyler Sedaka getting himself back into play. Where's he been all race? Now silently creeping up with a lap to go.
Fascinating stuff. Sedaka, of course, had an issue last time out and fell all the way to the back of the field after showing some early promise. But I was expecting Bowman to be at the back of Lopez, not Lopez looking. Bowman looking backwards at Sedaka. So interesting what's happened there. But you know, after 2 and almost 3 races, these guys are going to be absolutely they're going to be so tired. It's going to take so much intensity, so much focus to get round this track this many times. At least 30 laps these guys have done on the ragged edge, fighting every single meter or foot, I should say, of this track. And yeah, it's not surprising to see some people are coming unstuck.
It's that heightened intensity that we have seen so often. And as it goes for second, this is the last chance for Maurizio Lozano to make that move up into second to bank 18 championship points. He might just have to settle for 15 with something like that. For Brandon Hawkin, you can only play the hand that is dealt in front of you. He knows the issue that Lucas Vela had here today. He was staring down the barrel of being 21 points behind. How does 11 points ahead in the Ferrari HP Esports Series sound, Mr. Hawkin? He takes victory in race 3.
Absolutely fantastic result there for Hawkin. I mean, he'll be counting his lucky stars. I bet when he started that race, he thought, oh no, not again. Not again. But then when he saw him or didn't see Verla any longer, all he had to do was bring it home, and bring it home he did. He extended the gap to Fritz Contra and everybody else behind him. In the absence of Verla, Hawkin was the class of the field in this third race and final race of the evening.
It was probably one of those which you could say from the start, with no Verla after the second lap. It was a runaway for Brandon Hawkin. He played the hand that he had dealt and realised that, hang on a minute, I'm going to walk out of here as championship leader with a simply sensational bit of sim racing that we have just seen. Rory, quite simply put, that was what we call a spectacle of sim racing here in the Ferrari HP Esports series.
It's been an absolute pleasure to watch. I hope everybody at home on Twitch and YouTube and everybody who watches this later on has thoroughly enjoyed this as much as we have. It's been fantastic, and it goes to show how much everybody wants this. They want a spot on the Ferrari HP Esports team more than you know, and they're willing to go through lengths, jump through hoops, do anything they can to get to Ferrari World at Yas Island in Abu Dhabi to have a shot at getting on that team. It's been brilliant to watch.
It really has been, and I think we're just going to get confirmation of points. It's 11 points unofficial as we walk on over to the Nürburgring on the 19th of October here with the Americas Assetto Corsa region. You've got Lucas Verla, who will have it all to do when he travels over to Germany, with Lucas Murno still being able to hold on, but he's 31 points adrift with a lot to do. Emmanuel Lopez fourth, ahead of Santino Franco Davico, who climbs up to fifth. Great result for Alexandre Fritz Conti. He now finds himself sixth, with Maurizio Lozano in seventh and Tyler Sadaka in P8 provisionally. And over the page to 9th and 10th, Angel Chan and John Ackerman make up that top 10. The likes of Max Bowman really showed great promise out there today, but only P12. He finds him on equal points with Gabriel Peckley, and the likes of Rodrigo Rojas, Bruno Frantozzi, and Nathan Caetano da Silva being the last driver with points. 15 drivers have had that over the course of this one. But you talk about having two different styles of circuits back to back. You walk away from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and you go to what I believe is the proverbial home of sim racing, the Nürburgring.
Yeah, you go from a turn one or turn two or first big braking zone where you can't really get a move done to probably one of the places in the world where most of the moves gets done, down at the first corner at the Nürburgring. My, I cannot wait to see these 30 or 20, I think it was 24 this evening, guys, hurtling down to that turn number one. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
It certainly will, and you can only catch that with us here, of course, on the Ferrari HP Esports series, be it on YouTube with Ferrari or on Twitch with Ferrari Esports. I think we are going to get the opportunity in the next couple of moments to talk to our points leader here coming out of today's racing at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, which will be Brandon Hawkin, and I think we will take that opportunity right now to go and have a jump with him. Now, Brandon, I think what is so important about the racing that you've got and the storied career that you've had in sim racing is that this is a 6-round championship. You walk out of today with an 11-point lead in the championship now, heading over to the Nürburgring, and you are in red, which pretty much says, you know what? I think you really want this.
Yeah, I mean, after 2022, I was able to compete live there, and yeah, I've taken a little bit of a break from sim racing. I just got a little bit burnt out, but I knew this was one I had to do. So yeah, I really want to go and compete again. And this, yeah, man, Lucas, he was so fast, and yeah, I was able to keep with him, but I couldn't really make any moves on him. And yeah, it was just so unfortunate for him. I feel really bad about what happened there. I think his internet died or something, and but you know what? I'll take the points, I guess. I think Lucas should have won all three, but yeah, I just didn't have much for him in qualifying, especially in that second race, and sorry, the second qualifying, and but yeah, I was able to stick with him, and yeah, I was able to take advantage of the unfortunate situation for him. But yeah, we're looking good going into the Nürburgring. I'll make sure to practice a lot and see if I can find a little bit more with the setup, and yeah, see how it goes.
Well, talk yourself through from burnout to where you are now, because a lot of people don't realize that with sim racing that this isn't something that all the sim racers in the world can do as a full-time job, which is the opportunity that's pretty much being presented in front of you right now with the Ferrari HP Esports series. So talk us through the time, the dedication, the effort that goes into every series that you do, the feeling of that burnout, and how you found that motivation to get back behind the sim rig.
Yeah, so yeah, I've basically been racing like several times a week for the last 9 years, and like of course there's the odd break in the season, but yeah, it's been it's been quite a lot of racing, lots of different cars, different tracks, ovals, road courses, dirt, whatever, you know, and yeah, so just came to a point where just like, you know what, I need to just like quit for just a little bit, and but yeah, once I like I looked and saw the Ferrari Esports was coming up. It's been quite a bit of a gap since the qualifiers, so yeah, I just looked and I was like, oh yeah, it's coming up soon, so you know what, yeah, should get practicing, and yeah, just the opportunity being given here, it's absolutely massive. So yeah, just like there's not very many people who are lucky enough to be able to sim race for a living, and you know, to have a like opportunity like this to be able to at least like attempt it and like see what I can do against some of the best. It's a really cool experience. So yeah, I just thought like, yeah, just how much of a great time I had in 2022 and 2023 as well. Wasn't in person there, but had a great time playing on ACC in 2023, and this is a series that I really enjoy. So I'm yeah, glad to be back for the third year, and yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be really tough. Lucas is just so fast, but yeah, I'm just gonna give it my all, and you know, see if I'm lucky enough to be able to make it to the in-person event.
We were very quickly just talking about how important it's been over the races, that he put 2 qualifyings ahead of you by a small amount, 2 race wins ahead of you by a small amount. The margins are so finite between you, both you and Lucas. So what is it that you feel is that extra edge that will give you that extra, I believe 0.5 of a second is what you need to be able to make that move?
That's a good question. I felt maybe in the races he was able to rotate just a little bit more than I was mid-corner. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with dirty air, or he was just straight faster. But that was one thing I think I might try and improve on for the next race. Yeah, a big shout out to Archie in the setup exchange. I was using my 2022 setup, and then once I tried his, I was like, wow, this is like great. So yeah, it's right there. It's right there. But we'll yeah, just try and improve on it just a little bit, just to suit my style a little bit better. And man, yeah, it's gonna be really close, but yeah, we'll see how it goes, because yeah, it's just a very small margin that I'm off, especially in qualifying. So try and fix that up, and yeah, see how it goes in Nürburgring.
Well, we hope to see you there, and we hope to see you with another strong performance like we have done here. Brandon Hawkin there joining us, 2 seconds and a first, 11 points clear at the top of the Ferrari HP Esports Series standings in Assetto Corsa Americas.
Thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it. Brandon Hawkin there, who was joining us and bringing in together a wonderful result out there. But Rory, in terms of what's coming up with the Ferrari HP Esports Series, it is going to be a tiny bit of a break before we come back to racing. September 30th is the date that drivers and fans need to put in their calendars. That's when we come back with iRacing content with the APAC and EMEA regions at Summit Point. But in terms of this series specifically, October 19th, the last ticket in town.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You know, if you're Lucas, you've got a very different 1 month to Brandon. You know, Brandon's rolling in on that high, and what a nice guy, by the way. What he just very, very modest, very, very humble, very, very complimentary. You know, you'd love to see that sort of thing, especially when there's so much at stake. But yeah, Brandon will be on the rise. You know, he'll be buzzing for the next month about how that last race was. Lucas will be like, is my internet, is my equipment, is everything going to be okay? You know, and that's really going to be on his mind when his mind just needs to be 100% on trying to keep Brandon behind, which I think is going to be quite difficult. It's going to be fascinating though. Let's see how they both compare at the Nürburgring, and who else again is going to come to the party.
Absolutely, and of course the only place you can catch that is with us here at the Ferrari HP Esports Series. The road, of course, to Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi is going to be one full of heartbreak and triumph. And that is what we have seen in a snapshot here at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Massive thanks, of course, to Rory Alexander, who's been alongside with me, along with what you can see on the bottom of your screen: Santander, Big Defender, Thrustmaster, Richard Meal, and Next Level Racing. From myself, Jake Sperry, this is what sim racing is all about. You've got 4 notches on your belt. You can say that you are absolutely head and shoulders above the rest of the field. And then one great curveball completely changes the dynamic. They will head to the home of sim racing, some would say, at the Nürburgring on October 19th. The last ticket in town awaits. And I tell you what, Brandon Hawkin here feels that he's got a really good chance. 11 points, is that enough to stave off the charge?